how do you handle a website migration, especially when you're doing a site redesign or you're changing a CMS platform, say from Joomla to WordPress? This is a problem that many people have. They fear that they could lose rankings, and they even stop themselves from going about the transition. Let me tell you, it's not as hard as it seems, and if you do the right things the right way, you're not going to suffer any. You might see a blip in your rankings, but it will be temporary, and I don't see any reason why there should not be a quick recovery if you follow a checklist which I'll outline right now. So the first thing that you do before you even start your redesign, before you even start taking your old site down or implementing the new site, it's important and very critical that first you get a list of all the URLs that you have on your site in its current form. And how do you do that? You can use any crawler tool. You can use Screaming Frog, or you can use Mondovo's website audit tool. Out there you'll get a list of all the URLs that are there on your page. And in fact, you will also have an option to see the social strength of each of the pages. You can also check the backlinks that you have for all those URLs using our bulk metrics or optional add-on in website audit. So once you have that, what you want to do is you want to make sure that whatever pages that you're planning to implement in the new site, if you're not going to transition all the old pages to the new ones, which sometimes you might see that some pages don't make sense. What you definitely want to do is every page that has at least some kind of social strength or even one single external backlink, you want to make sure that you have a replacement alternative for those pages at minimum. If you're not going to replace all pages, make sure at least those pages are transitioned to the new site. Now, when you're transitioning to the new site, if you're not going to have all the pages, if you think that you're going to combine a few pages into one page, that's perfectly all right. But what you must do is you must have a plan for URL mapping. So whatever old pages that you have, you must, in that same Excel sheet on the right hand side, put a list of what are the new URLs that you have mapped the URL to. There could be 2-3 old pages which could be mapped to a single URL. Just make sure that the theme of the page and everything is similar, so that any backlinks that are pointing to that old page will make sense for the new page. So you do want to ensure thematic relevance of the pages in your transition, and it's important that you don't digress too much from the topic. So what you do is, left side is your old URLs, right side is your new URLs. Once you have that, in your HT access you want to set up a 301 redirect. So what this does is tells Google that these URLs don't exist and now they have been permanently transitioned to the new URL. So 301 redirect can be set up either via an HT access, or on the old pages you can set up a 301 redirect using some coding language depending on which platform you're hosted on. Now, after you've set up a 301 redirect and you've made your site live, it's important that you've configured your site in Google Search Console. Why? Because Google Search Console will alert you of any crawl errors it faces. So there will be a time that transitions can be, it may not necessarily be smooth. You might have missed out on certain things, because if Google detects a 404 error, what does that mean? That it could not find a page. And if it could not find a page that does not exist, means you have not successfully set up a redirect from your old page to the new page. So what you definitely want to do is keep monitoring Search Console to see if there are any crawl errors. If there are any crawl errors, the first thing you want to do is go back and ensure that whichever page it's not finding and it does not exist, you want the 301 redirect set up to an appropriate new page. If you've missed out the new page, develop that page. And don't miss out, if you decide not to transition all the old pages, try to at least redirect it to some new page which is as closely relevant to the old page. Don't miss out on any opportunity to gain rankings from whatever little traffic that you may have got to the old page. So once you've set that up, you're more or less done. I think a transition can be smooth if you follow that checklist. A few extra tips is if you're going to invest in a website migration, design migration, or a platform migration, I would strongly suggest that you at least implement HTTPS, SSL based security for your domain. Google does give you a few extra marks for having that set up. So I think that's important. It's good for the security of your users. It's good for your rankings. And do ensure that you have your domain canonicalized properly. So if you should have one version. It should either be www.yourdomainname or it should be without the www. Also, if your domain name.com/index.html or index.php, it should all redirect to only one version, which is www.domain.com or non-www.domain.com. You want only one version for all those 4 variations. So set up canonicalization, make sure HTTPS is set up, go through the checklist, audit your site, pick the strongest pages. If you're not going to transition all the pages, do a 301 redirect, monitor Search Console for all the errors, and there I think you'll have a smooth transition. And if you might see a blip in rankings, it'll be temporary. Within a week or so, I feel if it might not even be that long, you should see a smooth transition.